Hello, everybody. It's the Meista from Brews and Tunes. Cheers. I am absolutely beside myself with excitement tonight. I am chatting with the one and only, the indelible, the almighty Rick Rozz, legendary guitar player from Death, Massacre, multiple bands. I'm so happy to be chatting with you tonight, Rick. Thank you so much for joining me.
No, it's very flattering to have me, and thanks for that unbelievably ridiculous introduction.
Well, you're an amazing guitar player. You're legendary. Definitely a huge impact for me in terms of metal over the years. So I'm just beside myself being able to chat with you tonight. So thank you so much for joining me.
And thank you so much as well, man. It's really cool to chat with you as well.
Awesome. Thank you. So first off, I wanted to, I definitely want to talk to you about, the early days. But you've got some really exciting stuff going on right now with a new band you put together, Left to Die. Do you want to chat about that a little bit? Kind of tell everybody what's going on with that?
Yeah, it was really just a coincidence. I got a wild hair and gave a message to Gus Rios from Gruesome and asked him what he thought about the idea. And I said, obviously, Terry Butler needs to give the total thumbs up. And the next day, Terry called me and the can of worms was open. And I was like, whoa, this is real. So I haven't played those songs in 34 years. So
wow. Yeah,
it should be really fun, man. It should be really cool. I think it's going to be, it's really cool to be back in touch with Terry because I have nothing but love for him, and I always will. There just some stuff happened and it had nothing to do with him. It wasn't his fault. It wasn't his fault at all.
Right.
But it should be a really good time, man. I'm looking forward to getting in the same room with those guys. That should be happening pretty soon. And it just happened really, really quick. And it seems like people are digging the idea. And I'm looking for stress-free fun. You know what I mean? Playing some old tunes with some cool people and no drama, no prima donnas, no dictators, no freaking, you know what I mean? Just like some smooth shit, have a cool time and meet some cool people and play some cool old tunes. That's it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. And so for people that don't know, so Left to Die is you guys are going to do Leprosy in its entirety, correct?
Yeah, as far as what we've been talking about is Leprosy in its entirety and like 4 songs off of Scream Bloody Gore.
Oh, wow. That's like heaven for me. that's amazing. And so you'll be touring, right? You're planning on touring and playing all these shows with doing these songs.
We plan on a summer thing coming up in July, and we'll just play it by ear. Anything can happen. You know what I mean? COVID's just starting to clear up. I've been out of the game for a long time, so it's really cool for me. And that Terry, Gus, and Matt are even interested in doing this together. It's going to be really, really cool. And that's what it's going to be about, man. It's going to be about having fun, playing the songs, as brutal as possible and just having fun, man. That's all it is. Just having fun. It's all it is, having fun.
Nice. That's great. Yeah. And what great musicians, like you said, Gus Rios and Matt Harvey from Gruesome, which is, of course, a kind of a tribute band to Death.
Right, sure, but Matt's also in Exhumed, and he's got plenty of stuff. I mean, and Terry's in Inhuman Condition and an Obituary. Now he's doing this, and it's cool, man. That's what they do for a living. I've been out of the game of music, for a while, but I'm really excited to getting involved with this with Matt, Gus, and Terry. It should be a really good time, and I'm really looking forward to getting into the same room and doing a couple of videos to show people that this is really happening and it sounds fucking kick-ass. And it's going to be fun. It's something to look forward to.
Yeah, and what a great tribute to Chuck, as well.
He's pretty much the one that allowed it to happen. He allowed me back in the band. He allowed my idea with Bill and Terry after we left Massacre, and that's how we went out and did the Scream Bloody Gore tour in '87, and we ended up doing the Leprosy record in '88. And even though I was let go, Bill and Terry stayed with the band, and they did the Spiritual Healing record with James Murphy. It was Chuck's band, you know what I mean? So it is a tribute to him, man. There's no disrespect for that guy in my mind in any way, shape, or form. None. It was his band, and it was his band, man. That's it. You can't say anything else. That's it. You know what I mean? You're going to argue with somebody, no, you can't kick me out. That'd be the stupidest thing ever to say, you can't kick me out of the band. Oh, okay. But it's cool, though. There's no hard feelings, man. It was we were 16 when we met, man. You know what I
That
mean?
is
We all
crazy.
we all dropped out of high school in '83, and yeah, man. And then split up, and then got back together, and then Chuck moved to Frisco, and then we got back together again. And the coincidental factor of all that is just, you know what I mean? I never really was a band. I don't want to say, well, anyway, I wasn't a band whore. I didn't go bouncing around and being in 10 different bands. And it was pretty much Death Massacre, Death Massacre, Death Massacre.
Right. Yeah.
And then I branched off and I did a little bit of rock stuff with some really good people, Harrison Davis, Karen Fry, and Lucky Erickson. We did a project called Flow from 2000 to 2004. But other than that, there's a lot of cool stuff. But the Left to Die thing is going to be cool, man. I'm really, I got a lot of work ahead of me, and time's flying too. Like I said, 34 years since I played note one on that record.
Wow. Yeah. I guess that would be, yeah, you've got to kind of relearn the songs, and yeah, that would be interesting. So kind of take me back to that time with the Leprosy album. What was that? And I've got a copy of it right here.
Very cool.
What a great, I mean, that's the thing I've always said is, I mean, those, Massacre and especially Leprosy for me, as far as death goes, those are like the quintessential death metal albums. Inhuman Condition and the From Beyond, that whole era of Massacre, as well as the Leprosy is probably most likely my favorite death album. In fact, I've got the t-shirt on. But I mean, it kind of it was transformative in a lot of ways for me in terms of music. What was that like? And like you said, you guys were pretty young at that time. What was that like being, did you have a realization at that time that you were doing something really revolutionary?
I never thought that at all. I mean, you're talking death, we went from Manchester to Death, and Chuck went to Frisco, and then he moved back, and Terry, Bill, and myself learned the Scream Bloody Gore record, and we went out and did the Scream Bloody Gore tour and wrote the Leprosy record. No, we weren't thinking anything as far as being innovators or anything. Not at all, man. I had no clue that was even, I still don't know that to this day. I just hear people say that, and I really don't know what to say. I just giggle because I'm really flattered by a lot of people really flatter me here and there, like guys that are really kicking ass and like big bands, and I don't know how to take that stuff, man. They're like, "No, dude, I'm not kidding with you." Because I'm like, "Dude, are you like pulling my leg and just trying to make fun of some old dude?" And they're like, "No. I don't think like that, man. Never have, never will." You know what I mean? It's like 7-Up.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, Leprosy is huge. Like I said, it really impacted the way I listened to music in a lot of ways. The way I listened to, especially guitar. I thought it was, very revolutionary. And same with Massacre. From Beyond. That's just, it was mind blowing. It was, and especially I think that kind of team up of what you mentioned, you and Bill and Terry. That for me is the ultimate death metal lineup right there. That's,
and Massacre was Bill's band, and Massacre, the whole Massacre record was completely a coincidence. Those songs were written in 85 and 86 that went on From Beyond, which came out in 91.
Yeah.
Wow. So those songs were written when Scream Bloody Gore was being written. It's just we weren't shopping it. We were just jamming in the garage, trying to do local shows. I was invited to join the band, so I moved out to Tampa and did that for a few years, and then ended up reforming Death with Bill and Terry and Chuck. But as far as the Massacre thing, the only reason why Massacre From Beyond even came out is David Vincent called me in 1990, and he said, well, I think it was his first record with Morbid Angel, and he calls me. He's like, "Hey, Digby Pearson, who's the owner of Earache Records," he goes, "He's a really big fan of Massacre, and he wants to know if you want to put a record out." That's the only reason why that record came out, dude.
Wow, I never knew.
We weren't shopping record labels. David Vincent called me, and I'm like, "Yeah, that fucking rules."
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It was like, the dude's a fan of the band. He wants to put a record out. I'm like, hell yeah. So that's the only reason why there's a From Beyond, man.
Interesting. I never knew that. That's fascinating.
That is the only reason.
Wow.
Because Digby Pearson was a fan of the band, and he asked David Vincent to give me a call. And David happened to have my phone number, and he called me. I'm like, hell yeah, dude, that sounds fucking great. So I called those guys. They were actually, the lineup was different at that time too. That was the weird thing. Bill and Terry weren't in Massacre when that happened.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was Joe Cangelosi from Whiplash, who who replaced Tony Scaglione.
Yeah.
And he also played in Creator. And a really good friend of mine, Butch Gonzalez, who's like a really badass, like metal funk bass player, kind of like a Suicidal meets freaking Bootsy Collins meets. And that was the Second Coming demo for Massacre. And we had done a demo as well, like a live to 2-track demo, like 8 or 10 tunes that I think came out, not on a label, but just like bootlegged.
Okay.
Then somebody else put any, long story short. So I had to let those guys go. And because Bill and Terry calls me all right, see, this is it's all in like the same niche, dude. Terry calls me from freaking Europe. And he goes, hey man, we're over here without Chuck doing a tour. You want to put Massacre back together again? Because they knew they were done. You know what I mean? They knew Chuck was going to fire them when they got back. So I was like, fuck. And I just found out this stuff with Earache, and I had to go to Joe and Butch and say, hey guys, Bill and Terry are coming back into the band. And they were cool.
Yeah.
There was no bullshit. They were cool with that. You know what I mean? And that's how that happened. But the only reason why, long story short, like I said, the only reason why there's a From Beyond is because Digby Pearson, the owner of Earache Records, was a fan of the band. And he had David Vincent call me. And that's it.
Wow. That is amazing.
That's the only reason.
It's crazy that some, essentially what sounds like a little thing, a phone call, is what launched probably one of the more important, or one of the most important death metal albums in history. That's insane. That's wild. That's really cool.
I don't know about that, but
yeah, for me,
if it would have came out in 86 and 87, dude, that'd have been a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's when it was written.
Yeah, that would have been.
We were late to the party, but at least we made it thanks to Digby Pearson and David Vincent, man. So that's all I have to say. And there would be no Massacre if it wasn't for Digby Pearson. That's it, period.
Wow.
David made the phone call, but it was a label guy that just was a fan. That is it, dude. He was just a fan. That's it.
That is great.
That's fucking insane.
Yeah, I love that. I loved it. Yeah, that's great. So take me back, if you don't mind. I'd love to go way back in time and talk about, how did you first get started in music? Did you come from a musical family? How did you start playing guitar? What was kind of the impetus of that?
No music in the family. As far as like music in the house, it was more like Italian, like Caruso, and it was Italian stuff. I don't speak Italian. I'm from an Italian family, but there was no rock or metal or anything like that. I came across it on my own when I lived in New York. Coincidentally, came across Black Sabbath on a jukebox, and just happened to go this pizza place across the street where my mom worked. And there was like older kids that worked there. They were probably 5-10 years older than me, if not more. And I would walk across the street and go get a pizza at this pizza place. And as I'm waiting, this one time I just happened to walk up to the jukebox and I see Black Sabbath Iron Man. It just caught my eye, and I went, boop, put a quarter in or whatever it was and listened to Iron Man. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And then I didn't think anything else about it. Didn't go buy a Black Sabbath record or anything like that, but I was turned on to Black Sabbath. This is probably 76.
Okay.
And then the first record I ever owned, a good friend of my dad's, his name was Bernie. My dad came home from work and he handed me Steve Miller, Fly Like an Eagle. He goes, hey, my buddy Bernie gave this to me and said, your son will probably like this. Loved it.
Nice.
And then so it went from Steve Miller to Kiss instantly. Oh, yeah. I had the Steve Miller thing and then came across Kiss, and yeah, it was Kiss, 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 and Aerosmith, Ted Nugent, Sabbath. But it was a big genre of stuff. But as far as playing guitar, I didn't pick guitar up and try to play a guitar until I was like 14 or 15. I actually bought a bass first, and I couldn't hear it when I was playing it without an amp. So I was like, all right, this ain't gonna work. So I did my best, man. I'm a lazy guitar player, but I was more of a rhythm guy. You know what I mean? And I never actually learned a whole song except for Living After Midnight, which I did at a talent show with one of my first bands.
Oh, nice.
I would just like learn riffs, parts of songs. Oh, that's cool. And then I try to make up my own stuff. But I never, So that's pretty much how that worked, man.
That's cool.
If that answered the question, I was all over the place there. So
yeah, no, that's great. That's great. You mentioned some players, but who are kind of the big influential players for you?
Like I said, dude, I'm gonna say Ace Frehley. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
As a kid, you know, I was in that band, dude. I was in that band in my bedroom with the fucking tennis racket. I was on stage with that band.
Nice. Nice.
No, no, I mean, I wasn't, but you know what I mean. But no, there's lots of influences, man. I mean, from Ted Nugent to Joe Perry to Michael Schenker, Angus Young, Malcolm Young. I mean, it's endless. Tony Iommi. It really is endless with players, man. From rock and roll. I mean, Ann and Nancy Wilson.
Oh yeah.
You know, all those. Yeah, it's just it's a wide variety of, but it's just rock and metal. There's not much out of the rock and metal realm. You know what I mean? There's some rap and some hardcore rap and this and that I dig. And there's some dance stuff, some heavy dance and heavy bass stuff that I dig, but I don't go out and buy it. You know what I mean?
Right.
If I come across something, oh, that's fucking badass, and I'll check it out, and this, that, and the other. But as far as guitar players, it's pretty much endless, man. And it continued for a long time. I mean, into metal, it was probably Kerry King and Jeff Hanneman. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I mean, and I love Hetfield, you know, as far as like Kill 'Em All. But when Show No Mercy came out, man, I was like, oh, I was ready for the gas pedal. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm ready to play. You know, so I get it's credited all the way up to those guys, man. I think it probably ended there. You know what I mean? They're really, that's pretty. When I got the Slayer, I was like, okay, I was, like I said, I'm not a soloist. I'm not like a flashy spotlight freaking Mr. Shred guy. I'd rather just like, you know, meat and potatoes, play some cool riffs and throw some whammy in here and there and get the hell out of there and just keep, you know, yeah, that's just me, man.
Well, and the cool thing, what I've always liked about your guitar playing, you know, especially on like Leprosy, well, you know, Leprosy and the Massacre stuff you did is, yeah, there's just this cool, really cool driving riffs, but then your tone, you've got this killer tone, like this almost melodic, really rich tone. I've always felt that with your work, you know, compared to like, you know, Chuck's doing all these crazy solos, but then you listen to like what's underneath that and you're like, oh, this is like really rich. Like it's very impactful. And I'm not a musician, but just what I'm.
Oh, neither am I.
No, I would argue against that.
No, I am not a musician, my friend. Can't read a lick.
I would, in fact, I was, so I, and I thought this was really cool. So I just saw Incantation on Monday. And after the show, I talked to Luke Shively, the lead guitar player. And I said, man, that footage of you guys playing with Rick in Florida, you know, doing Evil Dead, the cover of Evil Dead is really amazing. And he said, like, he almost got this, you know, he had this look in his eye and he said, dude, you have no idea. It was surreal. It was amazing. He said, and the cool thing was, like, we had rehearsed as a band, but we had not rehearsed with Rick. And he said, you know, Rick came up, we started playing, and he's like, I just locked in with him and we were just like in sync. And it was beautiful. It's like, it was really mind blowing to play with him. Yeah,
that's very flattering because that guy's a monster guitar player.
Yeah, he's great.
We didn't jam. They sent me a video and I listened to it and I played with it a couple of times. And that was that. They wanted me to come down for sound check, but I couldn't make it down there. But it was cool. It went over really good and it was very flattering to even be on stage with those guys. So
yeah, great band. I'm a massive fan.
That was very nice of Luke, man. It was very cool. Luke.
Yeah,
John had nothing but cool stuff to say, and same thing with Scott from False Prophet, who's sitting in with them playing bass from SP Custom Guitars. He had a good time. No, it was cool, man. It was very flattering. You know what I mean? They didn't have to do that.
Yeah, great. Yeah, all cool, very cool people, and yeah, but I mean they adore you, obviously. You know, as I do. I mean, you are death metal royalty. I mean, really, I don't mean to gush, but I mean, seriously, you have set the bar, I think, for a lot of guitar players
in
that
bar
genre.
It's a whammy bar. That's about it.
No,
I didn't set any bar for anything else, or maybe a little whiskey in the whammy bar. It's about it. Cheers, bro. Very cool, though. That's very nice of you to say.
Yeah. I did want to ask you about, and kind of to go back a little bit, I'm kind of circling back a little bit here, but so tell me about the writing of Leprosy. I was really curious. So was that Was that kind of all Chuck? Was it collaborative? Did you, did he have everything kind of laid out, or did you guys like, hey, I want to do this, or I want to do that, kind of how did that all come together?
No, we pretty much wrote all that whole record in his room, like we did everything else from the Mantis days. And
Oh, wow.
he wrote Leprosy and he wrote Pull the Plug, and then I wrote Primitive Ways on my own, and then we had a handful of riffs each, and we collaborated the other 5 tunes with a double cassette player, just like
Wow.
we always did, man. And then we got together with Bill and Terry, and we started jamming them, because I think we were jamming in Tampa at that time at Padlock Mini Storage. So me and Chuck would drive out there and meet up with Bill and Terry because, it made more sense. We left our stuff out there, and Bill had his drums out there. So, but yeah, as far as the writing of that, it was just, the way I just said it. Chuck wrote Leprosy and Pull the Plug, and which I believe he wrote. I don't know which one we were working on, but we were working on one of those on the Scream Bloody Gore tour. I can't remember if it was Leprosy or Pull the Plug, but regardless, I wrote one song by myself musically. He wrote 2 by himself musically, and then the other 5 were collaborated between the 2 of us. And of course, he wrote all the lyrics.
Right. Cool. That's really cool. And was it a similar situation with Massacre in terms of the writing? Was it a collaborative thing, or did you write most of that, or?
As far as the From Beyond record, I wrote all the music on the From Beyond record.
Oh, cool.
The Inhuman Condition record was a collaboration of Terry Butler and myself. Terry wrote the title track, and it doesn't matter, whoever wrote what, it's a band. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter, man. It's got to be split evenly, and there's a lot of bands that don't like to do that. But regardless on who's writing what, you're in the band, and you should get an equal share.
Yeah.
So, I don't mean to bring up money, but this is the way I think, because a lot of people don't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They go by the book. Oh, well, I wrote this, so I get 70%, and you get this. You know what I mean? It's like the Cadillac and the Pinto.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. There was never no, always equal. I try to be that way. You know what I mean? Some people don't like to do that, and sometimes that doesn't work out in the band because, some people are that way and the other person doesn't want to do that, and they're like, whatever. Greed's a bitch. Right.
Yeah. And I would imagine, not to get into it too much, but I would imagine that's kind of why the whole Massacre thing didn't work out.
Of course, man. Dictatorship ain't got no time for that. Dictator, revisionist, bunch of bull crap, and prima donna, crybaby. Yeah. I'll see you tomorrow, buddy.
Yeah. But the cool thing is that, out of the ashes of that, Inhuman Condition came out of that. You played on 2 songs on that album, the Rat God album with Jeremy and Taylor.
Actually, 3 songs.
Oh yeah, that's right. 3. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. That, which once again was very flattering. You know what I mean? And that's before Terry Butler was even in the band, or I'm sure that you already had thoughts about that, but I actually mentioned that. I was like, hey, you guys ever talk to Terry? And think he'd be into this? They probably already knew he was going to do it, but it was really cool how that came about, man. You know what I mean? It's just, nobody had to say anything. It's just true colors of one individual that just shined, just like a big polished turd. What an ass you are, dude. Come on, man. You're making a fool out of yourself, and you don't even have to try.
Right.
Not to mention names, but yeah, man, it's cool. But those guys are great, man. It's killer. That was a lot of fun, and it was very flattering. Totally. It was totally bad. Taylor and Jeremy fucking rule.
Yeah, the great guys. I've interviewed both of them in the past, and what a great album that is. And yeah, your guitar work is
that was supposed to be the Massacre record.
Yeah, that's what I understand.
You know what I mean?
So those were the songs, right?
Yeah. And they pulled the plug, just like me and Mass pulled the plug. And you got to go, man.
Yeah.
Ain't got no time for that.
Well, at least something better came out of it.
No, it's cool. Everybody said, dude, Taylor's got the D-side gig too now. So that's
that's really cool. Yeah, that's exciting.
Excuse me. But yeah, good stuff. I'm not going to down anyone, man. People are people, and dicks are dicks. You know what I mean? It's about it.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Taking enough already.
So I was curious, with the Left to Die, I'm sorry, I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but with Left to Die, do you guys, you'd mentioned, doing touring in the summer. Is there are you playing with other bands? Is there something already kind of worked out as far as what you guys are going to do?
I know no other bands
Oh, okay.
at the moment. I'm sure there will be other bands, but yeah, I have no info on that, and I'm dead honest about that. I'm zero info.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so as far as I know, it's early July to late July, and it's a tentative thing right now, and I have no idea about dates or anything like that. It's like I said, I still got to learn these songs, and we
Yeah.
still got to get. We still have to get in the same room. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Because I
At
mean,
least just to hang out, at least and show that it's real. Because
right.
we really want to do like a video recording of playing a song and show them what it sounds like and get that out there. But Obituary and Gruesome are getting ready to leave for tour next month.
Oh,
They're
that's
going
right.
out. They're going out on the Gruesome's going out on the second leg of the Obituary tour. So, but we're supposed to get in the same room. I don't know if it's before that or after that for like a day, just to at least meet and talk and jam a little bit. And but yeah, we're just gonna play it by ear, man. It's day by day. It's all we can do.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, that'll be cool. I'm very excited to I'm really hoping you come here. Because that would be dream come true. I mean,
Where are you at?
I'm
Where are
in
you?
Utah.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no clue.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe push it with the other guys. We have to play Salt Lake City.
No, that's cool.
Tell Matt we have to play Salt Lake City.
I mean, we'll see how it goes. You know, I'm
Yeah.
going to say, you know, if this first run, if everything goes as planned and what everybody's talking about, and it works out and everything goes good, you know, who knows, you know, where we're going to go. So I really don't know. It's just going to be, I just want to have some fun. You know what I mean? It has nothing to
Yeah.
do with like anything else that's happened with the Death name or anything like that. It's just totally separate. And yeah, it should be cool, man. I'm really looking forward to it because I really think that these guys are really cool dudes.
Yeah. Yeah. And great player.
And it's really cool to be back in touch with Terry. And like I said before,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's-
Yeah. What a great bass player. What a great guy. He's just a
you know, totally. He's just he wouldn't harm a fly unless he needed to.
yeah. 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 I met him a few years ago and he was just the kindest, most gracious, down to earth, just a cool dude. Just a cool, but
Terry
fucking brutal player.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. As you all are. So which
he knows his job.
Yeah, he knows how to, definitely knows how to lay it down. That's for sure. That's for sure. What I've always been curious about, especially kind of that legacy and kind of what you've been doing beyond, because you've done some other bands too, like M Inc., which was, you know, kind of a Massacre.
Yeah, that was a project before we put the Massacre thing back together again with Terry and Ed Webb from. Yeah, there was Mike Mazzanetto and myself and Timmy Vasquez, who owned the studio, who was also the bass player of M Inc. Yeah, we just had an opportunity thanks to Timmy Vasquez at CGM Studios, where he opened his door to us and just let us jam in there. I mean, all Mike and I did was write songs. We go there 3 days a week and wrote songs. We had the M Inc. project, and that went to Massacre, and then that stopped, and that went to the end, and then we reformed Massacre again with Barney, and then that failed, and yeah, man, it's cool. A lot of stuff. You know, the Massacre Back from Beyond record was recorded in that place, and
oh, cool.
Yeah.
And you've got some other projects you've done, and one I think is like the greatest name, Gangs of Old Ladies. What a great fucking name that is. I love it.
That's probably the coolest name ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a very flattering gig. You know, those guys live in Australia and they're based out of Australia, and I'm actually part of the band. I'm actually in the band, and yeah, those are great guys, man.
How did you get involved with them? How did that come about?
Well, Jekyll Jones got a hold of me. He's the singer and madman behind the whole thing, but Unknown, the guitar player, is really, really cool. It's just a really cool thing that they even involved me, man. It was out of the blue. Got an email. They're like, "Hey, man, check this out. Here's this, here's that. You're interested in doing this?" And I check it out. I'm like, "This is badass." So I just did what I thought would be cool with that. And I have to thank Kanye Twitty over at Dutch Oven Studios, because he does all the, helps me out with all the recording. So I have no recording stuff. So so I would just do, and they dug it, and it was cool. They just included me, and they dug what I did, and that's all I could say, man. They could have said, "Nah, Rick, this sucks. I don't know what you're doing," because they got some really good players, man. It's some crazy shit, and they're so passionate about what they do, especially Jekyll. I mean, I don't know Unknown, the guitar player, as well, but Jekyll's very passionate, man. He puts a lot of time and effort, and it's really cool stuff, and they're great freaking guys for including me in that. But there's a lot of cool bands out there, man. I helped out the guys in Necronemesis out of Puerto Rico. The guys, there's a band, Dawn of End, out of the New Hampshire area. They flew me out there. I played Dawn of Eternity with them. See, man, there's so many bands that I don't ever take notes. There's another handful of bands, but I'm really sorry, guys, that I'm not remembering everybody. But Feed the Corpses to the Pigs.
Oh, that's a great name.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's a great band, man. They're freaking really, really good. They're on Horror, Pain, Gore, Death Productions, along with Necronemesis.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
that's with Mike Giuliano, who was over at Relapse. He has that label, Horror, Pain, Gore, Death Productions.
Oh, yeah, cool.
So yeah, there's the Sinister is another name, and then yeah, there's another. I don't want to mispronounce it. Sorry, guys.
You're a pretty busy guy. You got a lot going on.
Well, yeah, but that's all done now. I mean, I'm still in Gangs of Old Ladies, and there's going to be other songs coming, but it's not like we're rehearsing and going on tour. No, dude, it was totally flattering, and I didn't shop myself. They were getting a hold of me. I'm like, wow, this is fucking cool.
Yeah.
And you know, and they could say no, you know what I mean? They're sending me a song. I'm going to put something down. They go, hey, Rick, it ain't working. I wouldn't have been offended. You know what I mean? Right. But they dug it. So anyways, blah, 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 blah. Right. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun and flattering. Plus also a little rock kind of a rock metal project called The Ride that Kyle Thomas from Exhorder and Trouble is doing some vocals on.
Cool.
Good friend of mine, Lucky Erickson, that I was telling you about, a band Flow earlier. We had recorded 2 tunes about just drums and guitars about 10 years ago, 11 years ago, over at CGM Studios with Timmy Vasquez, and came across the MP3 files. So there's no WAV files. It's just MP3 files of drums and guitars. So I was like, instead of wasting these, I decided to send them to Kyle Thomas. He really dug them. He cut bass on both of them and cut vocals on both of them. Shoot me your email too when you can. I'll shoot you some rough mixes so you can check it out.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that.
It's not death metal at all. But yeah, the name of the project's The Ride, and it'll be coming out on Blood Blast distribution in 2023, which is a subsidiary. I think it's a digital label from Nuclear Blast.
Cool.
That's they're really digging the tunes, and we're probably gonna end up cutting a couple other ones, put an EP out or something. But yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that. Yeah, Kyle's a badass. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's really cool. Wow, that's great. Well, I don't want to keep you all night, but I do have one last question for you. And I don't know if you're into craft beer or not, but so my blog is Brews and Tunes. I pair craft beer with metal albums. So it's a Saturday night. Rick, you're hanging out at home. What album are you spinning, and what are you drinking? And it doesn't have to be beer.
Been listening to Leprosy a lot because I have to learn it. So I've had that on repeat.
Nice.
And I'm sipping a little R&R Reserve Canadian whiskey.
Nice.
With a little water chaser and smoking some good buds.
Nice. I like that.
And that's it.
That sounds like a good evening to me.
Cheers to you, man.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Well, Rick, thank you so much. This has been a pleasure. I can't thank you enough. This was great. Yeah, I had a blast chatting with you. So yeah, and I cannot wait to see you guys on the road. Hopefully that happens very soon, and you'll be coming in my neck of the woods.
Yeah, dude, shoot me your email, man. I'll shoot you some tunes, and if we're not friends on Facebook, we can hook up and stay in touch, and I can keep you in the loop on dates and stuff and all that freaking Apple Star stuff.
Awesome. Very cool. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.